Good day, everyone. My name is Dexter Asadon Guarino, and now I will be discussing to you the methods of teaching. So with the right teaching methods, educators can create an enjoyable and productive classroom experience for students where they can learn important academic and social skills to last a lifetime. But before that, let's define first what is teaching method. So teaching method are ways to instruct students in a classroom, helping them to understand and remember what they've learned. Some of the best teaching strategies allow educators to convey information in a clear and concise way while also ensuring students retain it over the long term. So now, let's move on to the 9 teaching methods to promote success in the classroom. So the first one is the differentiated instruction. Differentiated instruction is the idea of creating tailored education plans for students based on different needs. This may involve the ways by which students access content, the activities they do, the assessment techniques a teacher uses, or even the physical setup of a classroom. So here are some ways an educator may differentiate instruction. First is provide books or other materials at different reading levels. Second, create custom spelling lists for students with the different spelling skills. Third is host small groups to provide tailored advice to students. Fourth, offer one-on-one after-school help to students encountering challenges. Fifth, discuss the student progress and at-home educational strategies with parents. And lastly, measure progress in different ways through projects, portfolios, and participation. Let's move on to the second method. We have the lecture-based learning. A traditional way to structure classroom learning is the lecture format, in which teachers explain information while students observe. Teachers lead a lesson by presenting on, showing visual of, and modeling example of a topic. While teacher is presenting, students can listen, watch, take notes, and copy teacher's demonstration. While this is a conventional and helpful approach, teachers may alter it for different learning environments. So here are some ways that teachers ensure success of lecture-based learning. First, keep lesson brief. Second, allow time for questions. Third, create instructional videos. Fourth, use visual cues. And lastly, promote handwritten notes. Teachers can use technology in the classroom to make teaching processes more efficient and aid in the student learning. Students can use devices like computers and tablets to read materials, conduct research, or play educational games. The fourth one is group learning. Segmenting students into groups is a great way to teach skills in a collaboration. While in their games, they can discuss subjects and learn about the perspective of others. It's important to encourage both class participation and listening skills so that the students can gain these abilities for a future. The fifth method is individual learning. While group projects can be exciting opportunities for students, it's also important to promote individual learning so that they can work by themselves. Assigning journals entries can be an excellent way to give students time to think through topics and develop thoughts and analysis. This is especially helpful before hosting a class discussion so class members can have ideas for what to say. So the sixth one is inquiry-based learning. Inquiry-based learning promotes the idea of learning by investigation, where students can complete projects, ask questions, and find answers by themselves. While teachers act as a resource in this time, the goal is for students to solve problems and discover information on their own. Upon learning about concepts, they can explain and present the concepts in their own words to further enforce them in their memories. Then students can advance higher levels in their own pace. So this is a way for students to perform an active role in learning process. Number 7 is the kinesthetic learning. Kinesthetic learning is the notion of learning through movement. Teachers can move around the classroom and use hand gestures while they present to engage students visually and kinesthetically. So they can also encourage students to perform physical activities where they can move around and use their creativity. So here are some ideas. First, drawing. Second, acting. Third, building. And last one is playing. Number 8 is game-based learning. If you want to update your classroom techniques and help children to be more excited about learning, consider developing and implementing educational games or challenges, whether in person or online. So this can inspire children, especially kinesthetic learners, to participate more fully in the learning process and keep them motivated and focused on the lesson. So let's move on to the last one. The last methods in teaching is expeditionary learning. Expeditionary learning is the process of learning through participating in practical experiences. This can be projects, case studies, or lab experiments in the classroom, or field trips to replace around your school and community. For example, in a science class, you may take a trip to a nearby nature center to learn about the types of animals and plants in your area. This type of approach encourages students to apply classroom knowledge and skills to the real world. It can help them comprehend the purpose of their efforts and return to schoolwork with enthusiasm. So that was the 9 methods of teaching. Thank you for listening.
Good day, everyone. My name is Nico Rejes from Bitulad IA4C. So for today, I will be discussing about the benefits of using teaching methods. So we have here three different types of benefits of using teaching methods. So the first one is teaching your students effectively. So effective teachings involves using clear communications, engaging methods, and providing timely feedback to help students understand and apply concepts, fostering and learning outcomes. You can use effective teachings methods that educators have been using throughout history to help people learn. Effective teachings methods like direct instruction, storytelling, and hands on learning have been used throughout history to engage students, simplify complex ideas, and promote lasting understanding. Paying attention to the way you teach students in addition to the content you convey to them is the critical part of ensuring they master subject and abilities. So, on how you teach, not just how you teach. It plays a crucial role in helping students fully understand and master the subject as it shapes their engagement and learning experience. The second benefit of using teaching methods is the planning your educational content. So, when you plan your educational content, is ensures lessons are organized, focused, and aligned with learning goals, helping students grasp key concept effectively. In any career field, conducting the proper amount of planning and preparation can ensure your work is efficient and error free. So, proper planning and preparation in any career ensures tasks are well organized, reducing errors and increasing efficiency, leading to better outcome and productivity. So, next one is planning your teachings methods for the day, week, month, quarter, or year can support well functioning lessons and classrooms activities. So when you plan your teachings methods for different time frames helps ensure the lessons are organized, goals are clear, and classrooms activities run smoothly, leading to more effective learning. And the last one is finding the best way to connect your students. So, experiment with various teachings methods allows you to gauge what your students need and govern your classroom well. So, experimenting with different teachings methods helps identify what works best for your students, allowing you to tailor instructions and manage the classroom more effectively to meet their needs. So next is you can discover the teaching styles that lead to better performance and assessments and better progress report. So effective teaching styles that improve performance rather and progress reports include active learning, clear communications and regular feedback, These strategies engage students, help them to understand the expectation, and allow teachers to adjust instructions based on students' need, fostering better outcomes. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you for listening. Once again, my name is Nico Reyes from Bitilid IA4C. I'm discussing about the benefits of using teaching methods. Thank you very much.
Good day everyone, my name is Eva Miyu Pinano, presenter for this moment. A willingness to bring new teaching strategies into your lesson plan is one of the best qualities a teacher can have. So my other groupmates and I will discuss these powerful teaching strategies to level up learning. Classroom technique and strategies. This create a positive and productive learning environment by focusing on learning expectations, student involvement, and fair consequences. Example of classroom technique and strategies. Number 1. Modeling idea behavior. So what is this? So it demonstrating the desired behavior in real life situation. This could involve role playing, a conversation with another teaching, or showing how to respectfully disagree with a classmate. So how it works? So students learn by observing and imitating. Seeing the teacher model approach behavior makes it clear what is expected and accepted. So for example, a teacher might role play a situation where a student asks to leave the classroom early. So the teacher would model the appropriate response. For example is, you need to ask me first and I need to know where you're going. Like for example is asking permission if you want to use the restroom. Second is, let student help establish guideline. So what it is? It involves student in the process of creating classroom rules and expectation. So this could be done through brainstorming, discussion, or voting. So why it works? So students are more likely to follow the rules they created. It gives them a sense of ownership and responsibility for the classroom environment. So for example of this, the class would brainstorm a list of classroom expectation. So for working in a group, students would then vote on which expectation are most important. Third is avoid punishing the class. So what it is? So addressing misbehavior directly with the student involved rather than punishing the whole class. So this would involve a private conversation, a brief timeout, or loss of privileges. So why it works? It avoids unfairly punishing students who are behaving well. For example, instead of giving the whole class an extra homework because one student was talking during instruction. So the student might speak to the student individually about their behavior and discuss a plan to improve. Fourth, addressing bad behavior quickly. So what it is? Addressing misbehavior as soon as it occurs rather than waiting for it to escalate. This would involve a simple reminder, a direct or a brief consequences. So why it is work? So it prevents small problems from becoming a bigger one. It also shows students that you are aware of their behavior and that you are taking it seriously. For example, if a student starts to whisper to their neighbor during a lesson, the teacher might simply say, "Remember, we need to be quiet during instruction," or redirect the student's attention to the lesson. Flexible setting. So, flexible setting is a classroom design approach that offers student a variety of seating options. It's beyond a traditional desk. So, it's all about creating a more dynamic and engaging learning environment. So, this flexible setting increases focus. So, student who frigid or having a difficulty sitting can choose sitting that allows them to move or helping them focus better. For example of flexible setting option. So number one is stools. Stools allow for different posture, encouraging movement and better posture than traditional chairs. They also create for individual work or groups discussions. So many teachers enjoy using them as an option in a flexible setting classroom because they are conducive to both individual, quiet study as well as more collaborative discussion-based group work. Second is working on the floor. While it may seem disorderly at first glance, working on the floor is an ideal solution for students who have difficulty sitting still for long period of time. And the third is conventional desks and chairs. So sometimes traditional desks are the best option. Flexible setting doesn't mean getting rid of them entirely. It's about offering a range of choices. Web's depth of knowledge. So thinking level in the classroom, Web's depth of knowledge is a framework that helps teachers understand and design learning activities at different level of cognitive complexity. So it's all about thinking about the level that requires to complete a task, not just the difficulty of the task itself. So this is important because first, it helps teachers design instruction that challenge student at appropriate level. Second is it ensures that assessment measure that intended learning outcome. And the third is it encourages students to develop higher order thinking skills. The four level of the OK. The first level is recall and reproduction, remembering basic facts, definition, or procedures. So for example, recalling the capital of France, identifying the parts of the plant, or following a simple recipe. Level 2 is knowledge application. So using knowledge in a familiar situation. For example, solving a math problem using a formula, or applying a scientific concept to a real-world situation, or writing a paragraph using a specific details. So level 3 is strategic thinking. So reasoning, planning, and solving problem in a complex situation. For example is designing an experiment to test a hypothesis, or analyzing a historical event and forming an argument, or even creating a presentation using a multiple sources of information. And level 4, extended critical thinking. So engaging in a complex, abstract thinking and making connection across disciplines. Then we have formative and summative. Formative assessment, this occurs through a chapter or unit improves how students learn. It monitors how students are learning and it focuses on the process of student learning. While summative assessment, this occurs at the end of a chapter. It evaluates what students learn and it assigns a grade to a student's understanding. And it emphasizes the product of a student's learning. So Here are the examples of summative assessment. Number one is podcast. So student creates a podcast episode covering a key concept. This can be done individually or in a groups. So podcast can be fun and engaging way for a student to demonstrate their understanding. They can also be used as a study tool. Second is infographic. So students create a detailed infographic summarizing key facts, definition, and research. So infographics are visually appealing and can help students remember key information. And the third is EdTech games. So students use digital tools to create games that reinforce learning. So EdTech games are a great way to engage students and make learning more interactive. So here is the idea for formative assessment. Number one is hand it and pass it. So this quick exercise helps students learn from each other by grading anonymous paper. So how it works? So post a question with a clear answer. Have a student write their response on a separate sheet of paper without their name. Collect the paper and redistribute them randomly. Students then grade the paper they receive, checking for the correct answer. So the benefits for this, first is encourages active learning. Second is provide immediate feedback on understanding. And third is help students learn from each other's mistakes. Second is think, pair, share. So this strategy encourages discussion and critical thinking, allowing you to access understanding during the sharing stage. So how it works? Present a topic or question. Students think about it individually, then pair up with partners to discuss their thoughts. Finally, each pair shares their findings with the class. So what is the benefits for this? First is promote collaborative learning. Second is encourages deeper thinking analytic. Third is entry and exit tickets. So this short writing assignment provide valuable insight into student learning, revealing knowledge gaps. So how it works? So ask students to reflect on a previous lesson or activity. Then the exit is ask students to summarize what they learned in the current lesson. So what is the benefits of this? First is provide quick snapshot of student understanding. Second, help identify areas that need further clarification. Third is can be used to inform further lesson planning. So the fourth one is 1-minute paper. This open-ended writing task allows students to reflect on the lesson and identify areas of confusion or interest. So what is the benefits of this? First is allow students to reflect on their learning and identify areas of confusion. Second is provide valuable insight into student understanding. And third is can be used to guide further teaching and assessment. Then we have active learning. So a teaching technique that increases student engagement in daily lesson. So some active learning strategies include the first one is reciprocal questioning. So have students come up with a question for the class on a recent lesson or concept. Second is the pause procedure. So take a break every 10 to 15 minutes so that students have a time to discuss, ask questions, or solve problems. And the third is modest point. Ask students to write down which point in the lesson is the least clear to them.
Good day, everyone. My name is Maria Lourdes Dusil, and I'm going to discuss to you about the teaching strategies. So, the first one is universal design for learning. So, universal design for learning is an educational framework that ensures all students have equal access to education. Use it in your classroom to give unique students flexible ways to learn and become more goal-oriented. So there are some best practices for UDL. It is to know the strengths and weaknesses of your students, provide flexible classrooms, and adapt information for multilingual students. So UDL gives all students an impactful learning experience and helps teachers focus their efforts on students who need it most. Response to intervention. Response to intervention or RTI focuses on early and continuous identification, assessment, and assistance for students who have learning or behavior needs. So it's best to use as a part of a more general classroom management plan. So it involves small group or individual intervention that quickly addresses trouble spots. The most effective RTI strategies are proactive. Start with everyday teaching and move to targeted intervention as soon as you spot a problem. When you are prepared to move quickly, you're more likely to develop a tailored and effective learning plan. So, classroom technology. Technology is a great way to improve student engagement and get students excited for class. But it can be difficult to incorporate seamlessly into the classroom. There are endless number of ways to make use technology to enhance lessons. It is including video mini lessons or TeacherTube offers an education-only version of YouTube with videos on a number of core subjects. This makes the learning process more engaging, especially for visual learners. Uh, Podcasts give students relevant podcasts and engage auditory learners or have older students create math teaching strategies and techniques. Math games. So, similar to classroom gamification, math games can play an active role in getting students engaged in class, excited to learn. Offline or online, they are usually customizable and easy to incorporate into each other's strategies. So there are some example of popular math game. So bouncing sum is an example of it. So in playing bouncing sum, you will label a beach ball with integers, decimals, and fractions. So each student must read the number on his or her label, adding or multiplying it by the sum from the previous students. Math websites. So there are thousands of math websites that can be used as a part of a game-based learning approach or a differentiation strategy. Online resources get students excited about learning math and can often be scaled based on knowledge and grade level. So, popular resources include Super Kids. So, what is Super Kids? Super Kids is a one-stop resource for building worksheets, select a skill and number range, and generate a custom assignment. So probably GMAT is also an example. So students can go on adventures, collect pets, and battle with friends, all while answering skill building targeted math questions. Mental math. Mental math is an important part of math fluency. When students have a quick recall for math facts and can do simple equations quickly, they have confidence to attempt more difficult problems. So the Manitoba Association of Mathematics Teachers defines mental math as a combination of cognitive students or cognitive strategies that enhances flexible thinking and number sense. It is calculating mentally without the use of external memory aids. It improves computational fluency by developing efficiency, accuracy, and flexibility. There are also lots of resources available to boost mental math skills, including mnemonic devices, word problems, and fact fluency games. Common Core Math. So, Common Core Math is a new framework that seeks to improve students' conceptual understanding of math by encouraging problem solving, critical thinking, and discussion skills. Since it's so new, instructors have struggled to prepare materials that align with the standards. So here are some techniques that they are using or you can use. So the first one is use modular tools. Younger students can model their problem using number blocks, and older students can use everyday objects to act out the concept they're learning. Math journals. Writing out the steps they took and solve a problem helps students to understand where they got stuck. Plus, it's a great tool for teachers for keep track of the students' comprehension. So, that is all for my discussion, and thank you for listening.
I am Queenie Rose Epil from BTLED IA4C, and I will be discussing about the difference between convergent and divergent thinking. So what's the difference between them? Convergent and divergent thinking are opposite forces that call for very different mindsets, while it's impossible and contradictory. To engage in both kinds of thinking at the same time, using both types of thinking throughout the problem-solving process will enhance the overall outcome. Let's take a closer look at the differences between convergent thinking versus divergent thinking. So what is divergent thinking? Divergent thinking involves generating as much information and as many ideas and solutions as possible. Think quantity over quality. This kind of thinking is all about gathering information, coming up with ideas, and letting creativity run wild. It's a free-flowing form of thinking where no idea is off limits and the goal is to generate multiple potential paths forward. So, divergent thinking can be applied to both problem finding and problem solving. For example, we apply divergent thinking at the beginning of the learning design process to accurately diagnose the learner problem and avoid assumptions. It's part of our learning environment analysis framework. So we gather as much information as possible about the learner, audience, and context, conducting field observation, interview learners, and reviewing the pre-existing learning materials. So the information gathered during this divergent research phase informs the next steps in the process in which we think convergently to identify the problem and create a problem statement. Divergent thinking is a creative process, but that doesn't mean you should forego a structured, true-full session for your brainstorming. When we host brainstorms, we put plenty of thought into the prompts, activities, and structure of the session in order to brainstorm better solutions. So what is convergent thinking? Divergent and convergent thinking are on opposite sides of the same coin, where divergent thinking is about discovering, while convergent thinking is about defining. You've gathered plenty of information and ideas. Now it's time to focus on systematically synthesizing, organizing, and categorizing it all to arrive at a well-defined solution. The goal of convergent thinking is to take a structured approach to arriving at a clear solution. During this stage, you will analyze the inputs from the divergent thinking phase to determine an outcome or actionable next step. It's a decision-making moment defined by logical thinking, analyzing, and evaluating. So, when to use convergent versus divergent thinking? By now, you are probably starting to understand convergent versus divergent thinking and how these two methods complement one another. The two modes of thinking work together. Divergent thinking without convergent thinking is not actionable, and convergent thinking without divergent thinking is limiting.